The rain had turned her carefully planned disguise into something far more convincing than she'd intended. Sarah Chen stood outside the upscale restaurant, water dripping from her threadbare coat, her hands trembling, not from the cold, but from the weight of what she was about to do. Inside, beneath the warm glow of crystal chandeliers, sat a man who could destroy everything she'd built. But he didn't know that yet. And if her plan worked, he never would, ***. 24 hours earlier, Sarah had been someone completely different. The founder of Hope's Kitchen, a non-profit that fed over 3,000 homeless people weekly, she'd spent the last 5 years pouring every cent, every moment, every piece of herself into serving those society had forgotten. Her apartment was modest, her car ancient, her wardrobe limited to thrift store finds. Every dollar she didn't spend on herself went directly to feeding the hungry. Then came the email that changed everything. Marcus Webb, CEO of Webb Enterprises, one of the largest commercial real estate developers in the country, wanted to meet her. But not about her non-profit, about a blind date his mother had arranged. His assistant's message was clinical, efficient: "Mr. Webb will meet you at Le Bernardin, Friday at 7. Please arrive promptly." Sarah's hands had shaken as she read those words. Marcus Webb. The same Marcus Webb whose company was trying to purchase the building that housed Hope's Kitchen. The same man whose lawyers had sent her 3 eviction notices in as many months. The same man whose reputation for cold, calculated business decisions had earned him the nickname, the Ice King, in business journals. Her board members had begged her to reach out, to appeal to his humanity. But men like Marcus Webb didn't have casual conversations with people like her. They had assistants, lawyers, barriers. Yet here was an opportunity, dropped into her lap by fate or fortune or his meddling mother. Sarah had made her decision in seconds. She would go to this date, but not as herself. She would go as one of them, one of the people Marcus Webb's business decisions would displace. She would show him, face to face, what his greed really looked like. So she'd raided the donation bin at Hope's Kitchen, pulling out the most worn coat, the most scuffed shoes, the most tattered dress. She'd skipped her usual shower, letting her hair hang limp and unwashed. She'd rubbed dirt under her fingernails. When she looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself, and that was exactly the point. Now, standing in the rain outside Le Bernardin, doubt crept in. The doorman was already eyeing her suspiciously. Through the window, she could see the restaurant's elegant interior, the beautiful people in their beautiful clothes, living their beautiful lives. She looked down at her mud-splattered shoes and almost turned away. But then she thought of Maria, the 73-year-old woman who came to Hope's Kitchen every day, who'd lost her home when her building was sold to developers. She thought of James, the veteran with PTSD who slept in the park because the shelter was full. She thought of little Zoe, only 6 years old, whose eyes lit up every time Sarah handed her a warm meal. Sarah pushed open the door. The hostess's smile froze. "I'm sorry, but..." "I'm meeting Marcus Webb," Sarah said quietly. The hostess's expression shifted from disgust to confusion to professional courtesy in rapid succession. Of course. Right this way." Every head turned as Sarah walked through the restaurant. She heard the whispers, saw the wrinkled noses, felt the judgment like physical blows. But she kept walking, kept her chin up, kept moving toward the man sitting alone at a corner table. Marcus Webb was exactly what she'd expected, impeccably dressed in a charcoal suit, his dark hair perfectly styled, his jaw sharp enough to cut glass. He was looking at his phone, probably reviewing some deal that would make him richer while making others homeless. When he looked up and saw her, his expression didn't change. No shock. No disgust. No pity. "Sarah?" he asked, standing. His voice was surprisingly warm. She nodded, unable to speak, waiting for the inevitable dismissal. "Please, sit down." He pulled out her chair himself, seemingly oblivious to the stares of everyone around them. "The rain caught you, I see." Would you like my jacket? The air conditioning in here can be brutal. Sarah sat slowly, confused. This wasn't the reaction she'd expected. She'd expected him to make an excuse and leave, proving her point about his character. Instead, he was treating her like a person. I'm fine, she managed. Marcus signaled the waiter, who approached with barely concealed distaste. Could you bring the lady some hot tea right away? And maybe a warm towel? He turned back to Sarah. I always think there's nothing worse than being cold and wet. The dinner that followed was the strangest of Sarah's life. Marcus didn't mention her appearance. Not once. He asked about her life with genuine interest, and Sarah, sticking to her plan, told him truths disguised as fiction, about struggling to find shelter, about the kindness of strangers, about a soup kitchen that had saved her life. Hope's Kitchen, she said, watching his face carefully. Do you know it? Something flickered in his eyes. I do, actually. It's in a building my company recently acquired. They're trying to evict them, Sarah said, her real anger bleeding through. Putting profit over people. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. It's more complicated than that. Is it? Or is that what people like you tell yourselves to sleep at night? She expected anger. Instead, Marcus leaned back, studying her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. People like me, he repeated softly. Tell me, Sarah. What do you think you know about people like me? I know you're willing to throw vulnerable people into the street for a profit margin. Do you? He pulled out his phone, tapped a few times, then turned it toward her. This is my calendar from last week. Monday, I visited 3 homeless shelters we're building. Tuesday, I met with the Hope's Kitchen board. They refused to see me, by the way. Wednesday, I reviewed proposals from 4 different architects on how to expand their facility. Thursday and Friday, I negotiated with my board of directors who want to sell that property to a luxury condo developer for 3 times what we'd make by keeping Hope's Kitchen there. Sarah stared at the screen, her heart hammering. I don't understand. My mother, Marcus said, died when I was 17. Before she passed, she made me promise to use whatever success I achieved to help others. For the last decade, I've been buying properties that house non-profits, protecting them from developers who would shut them down. He paused. But I have shareholders, a board. I have to justify every decision. So I've been working with architects to find a way to expand Hope's Kitchen, to make it sustainable, to prove to my board that keeping it is good business. Sarah felt the room spinning. But the eviction notices. Standard legal procedure to protect my company's interests while negotiations continue. I've sent 4 meeting requests to Hope's Kitchen's founder. She's ignored every one. He tilted his head. Sarah Chen. That's you, isn't it? The blood drained from her face. I recognized you the moment you walked in, Marcus said gently. Though I'll admit, the disguise is impressive. What I don't understand is why. Why this? Tears burned Sarah's eyes. I thought you were going to destroy everything I've built. I wanted you to see, to understand what your decisions mean to real people. So you decided to show me by pretending to be someone you're not? There was no judgment in his voice, only curiosity. I spend every day with people the world has made invisible, Sarah whispered. I wanted to see if you'd see me, really see me, if I looked like them. Marcus reached across the table, stopping just short of touching her hand. Sarah, I see them every day. That's why I'm fighting so hard to save your kitchen. That's why I've been trying desperately to meet with you. He smiled, and it transformed his entire face. Though I'll admit, my mother's blind date setup was suspiciously convenient. She's been trying to get me to meet you for months. Sarah laughed through her tears. Your mother set this up? She volunteers at Hope's Kitchen. She talks about you constantly. That beautiful, selfless woman who gives everything to help others. She wasn't wrong.